and then you have these elevated moments. But like when when you have extreme anxiety and your baseline is always here, right? It's
Yes.
like, why would you just think like, well, that's life, right? Like I have a stressful job, I have a lot going on. So that
Yes.
makes complete sense to me.
That is exactly the point, Jill. Like, you don't know that you have it until you don't have it anymore. And I tell
Mm-hmm.
people that all the time.
I think it's speaking, first language outside of English, like Spanish. I think
Yeah.
that it is more about like you choose the language depending on the situation. So, for example, a very good example actually is my husband when he gets upset. French comes out. French comes out. There's no other language. It's not fuck, it's his language. And so, so I think emotionally speaking, it depends on the emotion as well, but when it's negative, for sure, your your first language comes out. And for me that's
So
how it is. Like my
interesting.
first language comes out when I'm pissed. I'm like, there's a very strong P word. I'm sure Michelle knows which one it is. And it's like, so, it's so funny because when I got married, he knew me as Cali Girl English speaking. And then we moved in together because we were a long distance marriage for the first year and a half or two. And then we moved in together after COVID happened. And then he saw a new side of me, which is totally in Spanish. And he's just like,
That's really
he's like,
funny.
I never knew this side of you. Like he's like, you to me were like Cali girl, Latina. Sure, you spoke Spanish, but it's not like I've never heard you speak so much Spanish. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's a different perspective. I'm like, interesting. Okay. No, I guess I am, and then, I'll talk to my best friend who is also like part of my family, like she is family. And so it all comes out. We talk both languages. We're just like, and the gossip comes out in Spanish and then we will switch it to formal in English. It's so funny. It really does depend on where your mind is at the time, I guess. So, but
Yeah.
so I guess we'll wait until Miss Tiesha comes in, but I wanted to ask you ladies, um, what you felt like talking about today. So today we have the invisible load, what moms carry that no one sees, or we've got moms supporting moms, how to transition into the workplace, or we can say moms supporting moms, the invisible load. I don't know. Like, it can go every which way. I should probably wait till Taisha comes in, but what do you guys think? I mean, how's it been for you? I know for me, those two topics kind of resonate for me this week, and Jill, maybe you as well, but and Michelle, I don't know, with your career like taking off, I was just thinking, well, not taking off, it's always been great, but like now, like you're just also doing all kinds of
Other
work.
things. um, I think that it's funny that you guys are talking about this. I just finished therapy with my husband, couples therapy. We ended about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
But that's exactly what we were talking about, time management and how to, kind of, how do I, obviously he thinks that I need to be better or we wouldn't be talking about it. But, but time management, like that, that was the conversation. Like, how do I need to give more attention, oh crap, hang on, to what I'm doing when I'm home and putting the phone away and, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. So becoming more present.
Yeah, and
Like more
because,
intentional.
I have basically like 3 jobs now. Did I tell you guys about TBR1? Like how I
Mm-hmm.
just got put into that? Okay, so I have, wisdom for complex kids, and then I'm helping with this TBR1 thing, but nobody else is doing anything, so it's just me doing it. And then
Dude.
I have work, and then I have the family. So, and this week, work has been insane. That's why, like, it was so hard for me. Jill, I wanted to text, but I was like, it's easier for me to call because I'm in the car,
No,
so I'm going to
please.
call
It's
Jill.
like not even a thing.
I was like, I got to do it the
It's like
way
the
that it's
least of
going to
the things
work
you need to
out.
worry about.
But, like, that's just how it's been this whole week. It's been like, I got to get things done between things. And so it's exactly that, like finding time to actually spend with the family. And I was explaining to John today on our session, like I have these compartments, and for me to be able to, and this is just kind of how I see things, it's just my type A, I gotta take care of this one right now, and then I can take care of this one, and then I can take care of this one, and then I can go to the other one. And so, and usually in the morning I gotta take care of work. And so I take care of work. But then, it gets in that gray area when you come home from work, and I'm still getting messages from work because a surgery added on, or,
Yeah.
whatever, some kind of an emergency, something happened with work. And so then trying to, where do those compartments, like, they're, the worlds are colliding, and you kind of, how do you deal with that? Because it's colliding all the time. So, yeah. But that's kind of what we were talking about today, is like time management. Like, how do we do this? How do we, and it's
Ask
hard
you something
because
though,
everybody,
and
yes.
it's not another therapy session, but maybe it is.
You didn't know. You didn't know,
I
Michelle.
didn't. Yes, exactly.
I don't know. Where did it start? Do you remember, like, when you just started to occupy your head with all of work? And mind you, I totally respect what you do. In no way do I want to ever convey that, Michelle, you work too much and you're absent in your family. But it's some of these questions might sound like that. Might sound like, when in your life did you start occupying all of your time into work and this project and that project? And I'll ask you only because for me, it feels like an escape. So I wanted to know, is that something that you resonate with?
So, my personality, and this is something that it took me a long time to figure out, is that I'm a doer.
Yeah.
So instead of going and laying down and being depressed, I do. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do things, and I just keep doing things. And yes, it could be an escape, but I think that a lot of the time it's more because this is what I've known my whole life. Like, I have had to prove myself, or to, like, my family, my mom was very depressed her whole life. And so,
Right.
Hi, Tiesha. But she was really depressed a lot, like, when I was growing up. And so instead of seeing and looking at her, I would go and do things. So, like, I was a ballerina, and then I had English classes. And then I would, one ballet class 3 times a week wasn't enough, so I would add jazz. And then I would add tap. And then I would add this, because really, like, I was doing it, maybe it was to get mom's attention, I don't know. I think that that's something for another therapy session. But, it's like, and it's just how I have been my whole life. Like, I was
So you
17
would
and
agree that emotionally, if you're
it could
going through
be,
something,
yes,
yeah,
definitely, because it's easier for me to just not deal with certain things
yeah.
than it is to deal with it. But
Taisha, we are talking about how Michelle dives into work when she is probably not feeling the most emotionally maybe happy, or maybe she's trying to cope. So she's, right now, right before you came in, she was dealing with work, trying to get some last minute things. And then she's talking about how in therapy, she was talking with a therapist and her husband about time management and how she needs to put away the phone maybe, or be more present or more intentional, like Jill was saying. So go on, Michelle.
no, and that's it. Like, I mean, that's my life. I have always been the one that does it. Like, I go out there and I'll do it. And so I think that's why I end up with, three different things plus everything else, because people know that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take care of it. And so, but does it hurt my family? Yes. You know what I mean? So my husband was basically like, be intentional, be here. And so, and for me, it's funny because I was telling them I have these compartments that I go to. So when I wake up in the morning, I gotta I gotta finish work. Then I come home, I take care of the kids. And then once they're asleep, then it's my time with my husband. Like, that is how I structure my day, but I don't think that that's working. And so, because he's starting to feel like he's the last, you know, like, so anyway, we were talking about that, and so it's just, I don't have the answer. I don't.
I can actually relate to exactly what you talked about, Michelle, which is um, figuring out the whole time management piece. And with me, like even like today, my schedule was set for be here, be with my girls, we're gonna do what we do. But I get to a client's home and I'm helping him, navigate resources, and I'm looking at the time and I'm kind of like, okay, you know how you try to push a conversation to go a little quicker, and it didn't work that way. So now I'm rushing to get home. I'm stuck in traffic and I look at my gas hand and I need gas. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is not life today. Um, so wearing so many hats, because being an entrepreneur who has a nonprofit organization, who has a coaching and consulting business, who's an author, who's also a speaker, full time, I am also a licensed social worker. So I have people calling me saying, hey, Tiesha, I got this problem. What should I do about this? um, Tiesha, I'm writing a book. What do you think about this? So all day, there's somebody needing me. And with my daughter being in college, we still talk on the phone now 2 or 3 times a day, which is great. Helping her navigate some things and just, being present for her. Because when she was home, I heard you mentioning you was dance, it was like a few times a week. And it was the same with her, like dance practice every day, ROTC, cheerleading, beta club. It was so many things that she was involved in. So I was so happy when she turned 16 so she could drive. And that took off, a load from myself. But every Friday, Mama had to be at a game. Every time there's an award ceremony, Mama had to be there. And when I couldn't, I felt some type of way, like, I'm not showing up for her. And with my husband being a football coach and an educator, on his game days, I'm showing up for him. So it's like,
See,
okay, it's like
for
Yeah.
how,
both of you
Yeah.
ladies, that's what I want to
listen,
know.
So, you know, oh, go ahead, finish,
yeah. So,
Tiesha. Sorry.
but it's and what I used to do, like I would be up like at night, finishing things, putting together promo, marketing, doing all of this stuff, phone ringing all times of night, and my husband had to tell me like, listen, like what you doing? Like, I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like we can be sitting in the living room together, but I am not present because I'm doing so many other things. And I found out that his love language is quality time. And I had to understand
Mm.
that quality
I
time
hear.
is like, I need you present. I need you front and center. No phones, no conversations, just you and I. Whether it's
Yeah.
watching TV or we sitting here looking at each other, that's what he desired. And when I found that out, it was like I have to hone into that because I got to make sure I'm speaking your language. I need to make sure that you're feeling loved by me. And with my daughters, hers was active service. So she want mama to help her with laundry sometimes.
Oh,
She want me to help her wash dishes. So it's still multiple hats. And it's like, so what about me? How do I fit myself into the puzzle? I came up with the
right.
idea of Mondays or me days. And if it's not an
Mm.
emergency, the house is not on fire, y'all ain't dying, let me be. And that's simply sometimes I just go in my room and close off, catch up on a show I'm watching, read a book, something that allows me to just be. Um, and it worked. It worked at that time, and it's like, well, dang, I got so much to do, and I found out time management is not my strong suit. I know the skills to do it, but it's not my strongest thing. So what I'll do is I had start writing a to do list, and everything I do not finish today, what's that song? There's always tomorrow. I think Annie says it. So I just transferred tomorrow and I start over. And I just figure out like what's most important, what's priority on this list. Yes, our jobs and
Mhm.
things are, priority because, it's paying the bills and things of that nature. But if we fall sick today or we fall dead today, that job, your job is posted within 30 minutes and somebody's being interviewed tomorrow. So I had to learn the value of self and also understand that my first ministry, my first job, my first business is at home with my family. So I had to
Is
get
at
that in
home.
line because
Yeah.
my husband, he called my spiritual one of my spiritual advisors, and he was like, "Listen, Nikki always on her phone, and I just need some time." And I was like, "Dang, why are you telling?" But it was him trying
Why
to
you
get me
telling?
right. Like, why are you telling on me? Because he knew like she's one of those ones who would like reel me in, and that it was him telling me like, baby, I want your attention, like I need that. So at 7:30 my phone go on do not disturb. Oh God, it's so hard because it's just
Mhm.
like
So wait, on a scale of one
So,
to
Mhm.
10, ladies,
mhm.
Michelle and Taisha, where are you in terms of this being a like huge problem where one is not at all and 10 is like, okay, I'm gonna divorce?
I've been
Oh,
at
we good.
10 many times,
Okay.
but
Oh,
I don't
wow.
think that I'm there. Like, I have burned out to a point that my psychiatrist actually had to take me out of work. And
Mm.
I went out for like 6 weeks because I just couldn't do it anymore. But I was talking about the compartments, right? And so one of the things that Taisha reminded me are of a few things that I do to make it. So I reached over and I have a red and a black book. So this one is my workbook. And so everything work goes in this book. This is my personal wisdom for complex kids. Like my kids, everything goes in the red book. So things that need to be done, the lists are inside. And this one got wet, but it's just like you go through this and you do this. And this is how you get done. But I want to mention one more thing because if you do have like a job like mine, okay, like I'm in the operating room, I have multiple surgeons sometimes going on at the same time. And so I can't be at all the surgeries. So one of the things that I have learned that I have had to learn is to build mini me's. Like
Delegating.
I had to build, and I'm not kidding you. I call
Wait,
them mini
explain what
me's.
that means.
Mini me. Like they're gonna be my mini me's. Austin Powers. You've never watched Austin Powers?
Of course I have. But just in
Okay.
case it's vague
Yes.
for some of the listeners, what does that mean to you?
So it's, I had to create those people so they could step into doing certain things. And like today was one of those things. I was supposed to be at a surgery at 9 o'clock. Nobody else had anything else going on it was my surgeon, but I'm like, you know what? I can ask. So I asked somebody to go and to take care of it while I could be here with you ladies, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so you got somebody to do what you would do regularly in a job and to replace that work for you
that time,
in your
so I
stead.
could be here.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Yes.
missed last week and I felt bad and just there was no way
You know,
around it.
Michelle, that's
But
a hard one for
yes,
me. Well, it was hard. It's no longer hard. Delegating, because it's like I gotta
Mm,
teach somebody how to do what I want them to do. So now I'm taking up time to show them how I
it
want it
takes
done, and then once
yes.
it gets done, I got to look over it from time to time. So I actually have interns. I have social work interns who I'm teaching and cultivating how to do this thing called social work in my field, which is pretty complex because my hands are in so many different areas of
mm,
social work. So just delegating, my cousin was like, you gotta delegate. Like get somebody to help you. Because I'm always saying, I need a me for me. Like, who's the me for me? So I definitely understand that delegating piece.
So there is a really good book from, and this is one of the people that I have been following, and it's called Brand Builders, and I was with them for a little while. It's called Procrastinate on Purpose. So it's kind
mm,
of like you know, you look at your life, and this is one of the things that I ended up having to do, and I did it about 3 months ago. I hired a VA, okay, because I couldn't do everything. And so what he says is if the amount of time you're spending in one thing, let's say, like for me, if you're trying to build a website, right, which I have no idea, it's gonna take me how many hours? And I'm not making money during that how many hours.
Right.
And I could be out doing something else and pay somebody to do that and still end up in a positive. Does that make sense? Hire
Yeah.
somebody to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bring somebody in to do the things that you need done. So like for me now, I do not waste time trying to figure things out on the computer anymore. Like that is not my profession. That is not my calling in life. And I've accepted that. And so I pay somebody to do those things. Editing videos, reels on social media, all of that stuff. I don't do it anymore because I
Right.
don't know how to do it. And it costs me less to pay
Yeah, because
somebody
you're on the struggle bus every time you're trying to even do it, and
and
you
mm,
waste way more time
Yep.
than
way
paying
more time.
somebody.
And I could be doing my other job where I'm getting paid money.
Right. Right.
So, like sometimes you got to take the things and you got to separate them that way. And I truly, truly believe in, um, for my line of work, you
Yeah.
can't do it alone.
Yeah.
I cannot do this alone. Like
Yeah,
we,
definitely. I've seen you
I,
struggle for the time I've known you, actually, not
yes,
not in a bad way or anything, but I honor everything you do. I used to be there actually as well, because I don't know if you guys know, man, but you go to California and you really are hustling. You are hustling. It is just part of the culture. It doesn't matter
here
if you're a teacher,
too.
it
Like
doesn't
I'm in New
matter if
York
you're a
City, it's the
surgeon.
same thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just like the
Yeah.
mental, and that's like I keep thinking about that. That like here, I feel like burnout. People kind of like wear it like a medal, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like you're kind of like, it's like a badge of honor that you're like completely depleted, and if you're not completely depleted, you're not doing enough. Like that, I feel like is very much the culture that I live into in New York City or the New York City area. Now I'm in Jersey City, but I can relate to that so much. And I feel like it's just normalized. Like I don't really
Yeah.
know anyone who's not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, right, Taisha. I know. And mind you, this mentality when I was in California, I knew, mind you, my whole family's there. I was born there, partially raised there. I did move several times growing up, so I know the different things where, different styles, or cultures, if you will, or lifestyles that people have in other parts of the country and and world. But I I knew that this hustle, culture of California that I know of, and now New York, like Jill says, is not. It's just not helpful for mental, or an emotional well-being. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I consider myself a workaholic. Like Michelle, I really loved to see money in the bank and also be able to say I did and accomplished all of these things. But at the same time, I never visited the ocean, and it's right there. I don't know what it is to go to Reno and Tahoe for snow season or ski season. I don't know how to go to Disneyland because literally it's down the neighborhood. Just drive a bit and you're there. Like everyone that goes to California for tourism probably knows way more than I do, and I lived there for years, for like half of my life almost. So that isn't normal, right? And I think that now, being a mother again of a young boy, a young little baby, and having to slow down. In fact, in COVID era, I learned how to slow down so much that it hurt me physically and mentally and emotionally. I actually got depressed. And a lot of us did, obviously. But I allowed these feelings to really sit, and I did the whole empty nesting because my children at the time were one was gonna go off to college and the other one was already in Los Angeles, and I thought, oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate where I'm at. This is really dark. This is horrible. I'm feeling all of it. I'm feeling the divorce 20 years ago. I'm feeling how I missed out on my children's lives on the special things that I would have wanted. I'm feeling stuff from years back. I mean skeletons, okay? It's been dead for a while. Like it's probably got little, dust balls in there, and it's I have to deal with it. When I stopped doing, I dealt with all of this stuff, and my husband was so confused and he didn't understand. And I'm like, look, it's a lot. I don't get it either. I don't understand what's happening, but it's happening. And that's why I spoke to you, Michelle. I was like, look, girlfriend.
So you brought something up in me, and I feel like I need to say it, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
So I have had times in my life with this job. It's a stressful job. It's a sales job, and I've been doing this for 18 years. So in the 18-year span of my career, I had two big breakdowns. Like I literally, the last one that I had was my anxiety. Like I was I'll tell you the story because it's going to resonate with somebody out there. But I was at work and I showed up and I'm in the operating room and I've had this headache all day long. And it was a miserable, miserable headache. and it hurt so bad. And I was like, well, I'm dehydrated, so I would drink a bunch of water. Oh, maybe I'm hungry, so I'd eat. And then the surgeon that I was working with, he looks at me and he goes, go take your blood pressure. Go to pre-op and have one of the nurses check. It was 185 over like 98 or something like that. Anyway, that is really high. Very, very high. And she looks at me and she's like, take some deep breaths. Let's try to take it again. And we took it again 5 minutes later, and it was still that. And she's like, you are going to have a stroke. Like, you got to go somewhere. So I went back into the operating room and I told the surgeon, and he's like, get out of here, go take care of yourself. So I got in the car and I drove myself to the urgent care. And then this PA, he was probably like in his 20s. He's like, hi ma'am, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, and then I just blur on the kid, right? I mean, by that is, my life has been like this. I am like this. I've been doing this. Wow. And I just start crying. Yeah. And he's like, the poor kid didn't know what to do. And he's like, do you have high blood pressure medication, ma'am? You might need to go on that. If not, and then for your headache, let me give you a shot of, for your headache that you're experiencing. And that, me going to the urgent care, having this encounter with this poor PA was what took, and it said, Michelle, you gotta take a break. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that at that time, I went to the psychiatrist. I started meds because my anxiety was too much. Mm-hmm. I was depressed, although I wouldn't allow myself to be depressed. So it was night and day. And I tell this to everybody. If you are depressed, if you have anxiety, you only know that you have anxiety when you don't have it anymore. And
it's so true.
My anxiety, like when I started, and you guys, somebody might not agree with me, and if you want to cut this out of the whole conversation, you can. But for me, like, it took me going on those anxiety meds to realize that I had anxiety. Yeah. And it was
there's
like
nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
That thing that I felt on like every day, like that, it was like I could breathe.
But I'm sure before that, Michelle, that was like your normal. So like, how could you know? You know what I mean? That was like your state of being. I feel like the way that you typically identify if you're like, experiencing anxiety is that you have your baseline and then you have these elevated moments. But like when you have extreme anxiety and your baseline is always here, right? Yes. It's like, why would you just think like, well, that's life, right? Like I have a stressful job, I have a lot going on. So that makes complete sense to me.
That is exactly the point, Jill. Like, you don't know that you have it until you don't have it anymore. And I tell people that all the time. People come to me and they talk about my job and how, how do you do this? And I'm telling you, I have to take meds for it. And it's not just because of the job. I think that I have made a lot of changes also in my life, right? Like, and I have created mini-me's, I have hired a VA. You do what you need to do on the outside, but you still have to take care of the inside. And for me, I take medication for anxiety and depression.
And that's okay. Right. And a lot of people, have a sense of like, me taking meds and, it's like a stain or, it makes some people feel shame. Right. But taking medication is very important, especially for those individuals that need it. Because think about it. Yes. If you had a heart condition, you'll be popping them pills that they give you like nothing. You're going to go see about your heart. What is so different about the mental that we are really having a hard time connecting? Because our mental and our emotional well-being is just as important, if not more important, than that physical being. Because that physical being can be here, it can operate, but if that mind and that mental is not working, then we're just going through the motions. So I encourage everybody to get therapy. As a therapist, I have a therapist. As a life coach, I have another life coach, because every good therapist has to have a therapist, because we are the ones getting dumped on. We're the ones taking on everybody's issues. Now let me allow somebody else to help me, with what I am really feeling. And I had to learn that, you leave work at work, and when you come home, it's home. But that's so hard for a lot of people to disconnect, depending on the type of job. And it's just like, because you get home and it's like, dang, I forgot I got to do this. I got to do that. I need to send this email. I need to do that. And it's just like, if we don't do it, in our mind, we feel like the company is going to crash, but the company is still going to run, because there's only a certain amount of hours in a day. And it's like, we sleep for a certain amount of time, and then the other times we be as productive as we can. And knowing and learning how not to beat ourselves up and give ourselves grace. And for me personally, it's me, meditating, me taking those deep breaths, is me praying, is me, taking a walk, is me listening to a podcast, or just sitting in silence. Because sometimes we move so much, we have to be still and know. Like, be still and listen. I have to pull myself away from my phone, because a lot of my work is done on my phone.
Same.
Social media.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yes.
It's so hard.
I get
and you're like, I feel like that's also something I think in our generation and like in this time that's very different, because there was a time that you left your office and you were gone. Like, right? Like that was a time that like existed in the workplace. And I think certainly if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, like, that's, I find very difficult, because I'm like, if I don't do it, like, there is no one else doing it a lot of the time. And that is complicated. But I think the fact that we just are always accessible, right? And the emails are always going to be coming in, like, even if it's not like our scheduled work time, and it is so difficult because it always feels like there's something to be doing.
All the time.
It's like really challenging. I also, especially because so much I feel like of my work is documenting and sharing parts of my life and my own experience, drawing boundaries around that, and really being, I feel like the thing I keep coming back to as I'm hearing what all of you are saying is just like intentionality, right? And like how we have to kind of like seek it and force it. That it isn't something that happens necessarily in a natural way. And I know for me too, like setting boundaries around my phone, and I still struggle with it. There are many days that I don't uphold my own, rules that I put into place. But really like at a certain time at night, having a cutoff and like it's gone. And I go so far as like, I'll put it in a drawer. Like it's in the other room. I don't want it anywhere near me. I take off my watch because I don't want to get the alerts from the phone. Because it had to get like so bad for me to like, do it, and to actually be present with my husband, or to like take that time for myself in the evening. Because for a long time, especially once I started, when I had my own business and then became a mom, it was like my work was happening during her naps. My work was happening when she was asleep. I didn't have a traditional like childcare or work schedule. So it basically was just like, it never stopped. It was from, I was in one hat, then I put on the next hat, then I put the other hat back on, then I put on this hat. There was no room for self-care. There was no room for space, like Tiesha was talking about, and just having a breath and a minute. And it's not sustainable. And it felt like I was showing up for everyone except me. And that didn't work, because then once I was like in that place, like you're describing, like once you get to that place, then you don't have anything to give to anyone or anything. So yeah, the phone is like a huge one for me, and just like having it just cannot be anywhere near, and I have to just not know, and it's on do not disturb. The other one for me that I cannot believe I've become this person, it's like embarrassing for me to say. And I think me of years ago would have been like, who are you? But I now am the person who wakes up really early before my child gets up.
Yeah.
I was never a morning person. I'm still not, truthfully, but it's now become like a routine. And I have to move my body in the morning. Like I have to do something. So whether it's like a stretch or exercise or I go for a walk, but it has become like a crucial piece of it, because that's the other thing that was happening is the second I woke up, I was on my phone. The second I woke up, I was starting to do
Ah,
stuff for work
yes.
because I wanted to try to do stuff before my daughter got up. And that
Right.
also was not really benefiting anyone. And I found my anxiety level was just like so much higher, not only
Spiky.
about the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like not only about the
Yeah.
work stuff, but it's like then the first thing that happens is the morning, I'm like seeing the news. I'm like seeing,
Yeah.
other things in my
Yeah.
email,
It's
like
stressful.
just stuff that we're not supposed to have to consume this much of.
Like,
Like
why
we're not
so
Right.
early,
designed
right? It's like
to
the
handle
first thing
it.
you put in your brain.
Yeah. Like it just was not the way. So I feel like the more you do, like anything, like the more you do it, it just eventually becomes the new normal. And,
Right.
that for me has also been incredibly impactful. And then I guess the last one, it would be intentionality when I'm with my daughter. So
Yes.
like that is a lot of one of the things that like, especially living in the area I live in, and I mentioned like it is an area where the majority of parents are both working full-time jobs, and people are parenting, but also like really in these often high power, high stress positions. And a lot of the work that I do with families, or even when I do like corporate speaking, is about how do we like make the most of the time that we do have with our kids, especially like I tend to work with families that have young kids. Um, and a lot of the time, if you are feeling a lot of stress and you have a lot going on, whatever, and you're feeling kind of close to burnout or burnt out all the time,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it very difficult to show up with patience for your kids. And it makes it like
Right.
the last thing you want to do is get down on the floor and like play and,
And
right? Like
play.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I support families with and talk about, and that I certainly have experienced on some level myself, even though my job is kind of different. Um, but one thing that I talk about a lot with them is like how do we make the most of the time that we do have? Because the truth is, 5 to 10 minutes of really connected time is so much more impactful developmentally and emotionally for our kids than if you were having hours of like semi-connected time. And this is like
Mm.
proven by research. It's not just like my opinion that I'm throwing out there. It really is true. So I think that like when you think about that, that one feels so much more manageable to an already overwhelmed person, because it's like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
could find 5 to 10 minutes, right? Like,
Yes.
and if you know
Absolutely.
that, like that really, I feel like makes a difference. So for us, there actually was this study, and I wish I could tell you exactly where it was from, but maybe I'll do that. And then you can like put in the show notes or something and people can look at it. But there was a study that was done that was talking about like not only that amount of time, but where in the day. And it was like taking 3 minutes in the first moment that your child wakes up, taking 3 minutes after they like return from school or daycare or after you've been separated, and then 3 minutes before they go to bed at night, right? So that's 9 minutes total. And how if you do that and you're fully connected and present, and you're not doing that while you're doing something else, I'm not doing that while I cook dinner. I'm not doing it while I'm on my phone, while I'm sending a work email and I'm also talking to you, but like I'm really there with you. And I'm really
Mm-hmm.
giving you eye contact and I'm really listening actively to what you're saying and responding. Or maybe you are playing and you really are in it and you're not in it while you're also on your phone, right? How impactful that can be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, wow, like that's 9 minutes
I
or
love
even like
that.
three
I
minute
love
increments.
that.
Like, right. It like really feels like you can do it. It really
Yeah.
feels
Mm-hmm.
like it's actually
It's
effective.
intentional. Yeah.
And that feels a lot easier, I think, than like the overwhelm of like, how am I going to find an hour? How am I going to, right? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone can do that. And I think if you think about those times of day, it makes sense, like why your child would need that extra connection before you separate to go to sleep at night, or why they might
Right.
need that after they've had that day at school and their own high pressure and crazy situations in that environment. And I think if like, I don't know, if you're kind of looking to start, I guess if anyone listening or anyone
That's
here,
a
like
good
to
place to
have
start.
more, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that's
It's
like, it
definitely
feels
yeah, definitely a
very,
great
that felt very
starting place.
comforting to read
Mm-hmm.
about. And I feel like
Right.
for
Yeah.
parents that I work with, it's kind of like, okay, that feels doable. Like I could do
Mm-hmm.
that. And you could even set a timer, right? Like it could
Yeah.
be that incremented if that's what you need, depending like how much you have going on. But yeah, I feel like that makes a really big difference. I know for us here, the days that my daughter is going to school, I make a point because the morning just always feels insane. Like it always feels
Yes. It
insane.
goes like
I
that.
never, right? Like I never feel as present as I want to. I always feel like I'm juggling and back and forth and whatever. And I made a point and like really had to like work at it. And I have like my Alexa like goes off and sends alerts for me to do it, like because otherwise I don't remember to stop in the morning before she goes to school and that we take 5 minutes and I let her pick whatever she wants to do, whatever you want to do. We can read together. We can like, whatever. And then I feel like it just helps the whole flow of the day for both of us so much.
Yes.
So Jill, as you were saying that, so Drake has had an awful week at school. It's
Mm-hmm.
been awful. And he had one of these about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And my theory is that every morning this week, I've been out the door before they even woke up. So, like,
Mm,
I did not see them this week. And it was the same way with dad a couple weeks ago. So, when I'm just trying to put the two together because there's not really a reason for the trigger to start happening at school. Nothing has changed. There's been no medication change, nothing changed at school. And so what's the outside? What could
mhm.
it be? And I really think that it's that connection.
Yeah.
Like with
Totally.
me,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
you know, I think
And
that
just like the
that
shift even, you know? Like I
It's
yeah.
think we
different.
often
But
underestimate how much that can, and I don't say that to make anyone feel bad. I'm living it right now. I'm dealing you I mean you girls know I'm dealing with a lot of stuff personally that is affecting the way that I can show up and be present for my daughter. I'm
mhm.
doing my best, but like logistically, I just can't be in two places at once. And I know, Jackie, you're
Mhm.
also like dealing with some stuff like that, unforeseen things that, because life and these things come up that then
Mm-hmm.
you don't even to anticipate in your schedule. And it's like, I feel, I want to keep her routine as typical as possible. And then it's also like
Right.
things come up, whether it's work or like you just cannot be there for certain things that maybe on a different week or time you would be, and it does affect and impact them. And it's really challenging because I think that contributes to like all the guilt that we already feel as
And I
parents,
think
as moms, especially like all the time.
right.
Yeah.
So what I think is I know that we've talked about communication before. Even at their young age, I think, like for an example, Jill, like when you do your 3 to 5 minutes in the morning, um, let's just say, you gotta go and handle, that personal business or whatever you have going on. Maybe having a conversation like, hey, mommy is not gonna
Yep,
be home. What
totally.
do we do? Like what do we do when mommy's not home? Have
Yep.
something for them that they can look forward to, knowing that mom
Hmm.
is not going to be
Yep.
there. And when those
Yeah.
moments happen, it's like, okay, well, mommy's not going to be here, but in my mind, I know I get to do X, Y, and Z, or I kind of know what to
Mm,
expect because a lot of kids,
yep.
especially those with structure, anytime their structure or their routine is disrupted, then we have some disruption
Hmm.
going on.
Yep.
Especially with
hundred
complex
percent.
kids.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Yes.
Complex kids and younger kids is like, the biggest population who gets very emotional and they don't know how to express it. They express it the best way they
Hmm.
can. And a lot of time that
Hmm.
expression comes out in misbehaving.
Behaviors.
Yep, comes
Yep.
out in
Yep.
tantrums and things of that nature because that it
Mhm.
it hasn't like regulated that my life is a whirlwind. You know how we are
Yeah.
when,
Hmm.
something comes up and our schedule got to get altered. It was like, oh my God, now I got to do this and I got to do that. They don't, they
Yeah.
cannot verbalize that. It's
Yeah.
just like, mom is
Yeah.
Correct.
gone. So it's
Yeah.
crying. It's,
Yep.
Yep.
mama's gone, mama's not here, so I'm a mess right now. Like, somebody help me. Like, I'm not understanding what's going on. And
Yeah.
even with scheduling and things of that nature, like, I tried to do that whole morning girl thing. Like, I'm gonna get up in the morning, I'm gonna be a gym girly, I'm gonna go to the gym in the morning, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And that's just not me. I looked online, saw different routines, and it's just like, this does not work for me. So my husband had to remind me, like, baby, you are unique, like, you're different. So you do what works for you. So I had to literally put like a blinder on what everybody else was doing, especially on social media. All these 5 a.m. gym girls and for I'm in my fields, yep, because but whatever. I get mine in how I get it in. So just knowing that your situation does not, like, none of us on here, our situations do not look alike. So when our situations does not look alike, it just goes to say that we have to figure out what works for us, what works for our family, what works for us as an individual. Yes, it is great to have different tools and have different examples, but it's not a cookie cutter, right? Our
Hmm.
lives are not cookie cutters. We're our own individuals. So we really have to do what works best for us. If you are able to get up before the kids get ready, an hour to get yourself together, then that's great. But if you're not that person, don't beat yourself up because, dang, I can't get up at 4 o'clock. You may have to stay up until 10, and it's okay. So just
Hmm.
literally finding what works for you. I know
Yeah.
in today's society, a lot of times we sit in the car. Like, after we get off work, it's like I got a whole good 5 minutes in the car where I'm doing absolutely nothing. And my husband had to come out there one day, like, you good?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes. My commute, like mine is like 45 minutes. I'm in my car, and I'm like on the phone trying to finish business for the day.
No, listen, them 5 minutes when I'm in the car, it's literally just me and my thoughts. Like, whoo, I'm at home now. Like, now let me transition from outside to in-house,
To
because when I'm
Mm.
outside, I'm social worker. I'm Wonder Woman. I'm saving everything, everybody, putting out fires. That's me when I step outside my door. But when I come back in my house, I'm wife. I'm
yeah,
me. I'm Nikki.
mom.
My hair down. You know, no ma'am. So I am literally Jackie is so funny. I am literally cut time. All right, time out. Gotcha. Yeah, we can't
Time
hear you,
out.
Jackie.
What is going on,
What is
Jackie?
going on?
You
You
yes, we're trying to figure this out. I'm like, she disappears and then she comes back, and
and she disappeared again.
then she yes, and we
Oh.
can't hear you. Oh
No,
no,
Oh
no, we can't hear you.
no.
no, can't hear you.
Oh man. Okay, here.
Oh,
Yes.
now yes.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
It's
I
okay. We can run that
can't.
part back. We can you want us to, we can run that part.
You're good. I knew you couldn't hear me because I couldn't see the blue. I was like, damn it. What's happening? Sorry, technical difficulties. No, I was just gonna say, because we're on the hour. Lord have mercy.
Yes.
Sweating, you guys. It is not even spring and I'm sweating. I was gonna just add, you ladies are all working women. I am working here in my podcast at home as a stay-at-home mom for now. And I want to speak upon the stay-at-home mamas and the ones that think, oh goodness, they're talking about careers. I don't even have a job right now. I'm at home. My job is at home. I'm the one, doing all the errands, picking up groceries, schlepping people from left to right. I learned that one actually by a client. Jill, you'd be surprised. Like having, this whole thing at home. I speak to you moms because invisible loads at home happen as well, and
Oh yeah.
absolutely
Major.
happen all the time. In
Yes.
fact, I had a recent discussion with actually I blew up. Let's be real. I blew up on my husband like a couple days ago. And no, I'm not on my period. Sorry. So and it's a mountain of invisible things that I think, in my opinion, right, have been overlooked and have, and he's been on a business trip, he's done this, he's been very helpful at home, but I haven't had the help. So, oh goodness, is it my connection again? You guys see me okay? Are we good? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Jill,
We're back. Here?
It's not Jackie's day. Today is just not her day.
Jill paused like she was waiting for
Oh
the
my
photographer to take
God.
a picture.
I can't. Today is.
I'm sure this
Wait
just
for
may be
it.
edited. Right. Or she just may keep it for bloopers. Either way will be cool.
Again.
I'm gonna have to text y'all
Stupid.
because
That
I'm
is-
trying to stay until she get
man.
this out. I gotta go back to work on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
she's probably
She
gonna.
just, she's,
but
there she is.
Did you guys take over?
And she's back.
oh,
And she's back.
we played around a little bit.
Oh my
Well-
goodness. Anyways, just to say, is Jill out because she's got to go? Because I can't see
Jill's
Miss
still
Jill.
on.
We're still
Okay,
here.
no,
Just
okay,
to-
so it's me. It's me. All right. So,
Jackie.
anyways,
I'm here.
Hot mess today.
Hot Mess
hot
Express.
one.
All
Hot
good.
mess.
All good. So that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to also speak on the moms that,
I'm not.
don't have
Jackie. I don't see Jackie.
a full career, but are also dealing
don't see
with
you either,
everyone's
Jill.
problems at home. Yeah. What's that, Tiesha?
Oh. Jill said she
Jill
didn't
doesn't
see
see you, and you don't see Jill. And I see
you. I
everything.
see everybody.
I see Michelle and Taisha, but I don't see Jackie.
Oh, it is Friday, baby. The last Friday.
Yes.
They said we're going to see
And
seven
it's not
of
the 13th either.
Right. It's the last of the month, but they say we're supposed to
Yes,
see seven
it
of the what's the thing called? That's in space? Planets. We're supposed to see 7 planets in the sky tonight. So I think that's what it is.
All right. Why don't you do me a
Okay.
favor and you
Well-
tell this to Jill. Say this to Jill.
Oh, Jill
She's
just
gone.
left. She's gone.
Okay.
Jill dropped out.
She's gone now? Okay, she's gone. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to try wrap it up then, okay? You guys wrap it up with me. It's all good. So all that to say, oh my goodness, thanks Michelle today for, sharing with us your very busy schedule, my dear. I know you're going through it. I know it's tough. I know you're also doing the work, which it's not going to go unseen. You're going to be at home. You're going to survive this too. I know it's at a 10 sometimes, but it's going to get better. I really trust that it is because you're doing the work. And you know what? If it doesn't get better, do some exactly. Oh, there she is. There's Jill again. Hold on one second.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. I don't know what is going. And now I don't see Jill and I don't hear Jill. So.
No, she's not in quite yet. Hold on.
Oh, there she is.
It's
What?
one of those days, you guys.
Oh my gosh, what is
gosh.
happening?
We're all just kind of waiting for
We're
you to
so- we
figure
are
the hot mess
struggling
out.
We
today.
all needed this laugh on this Friday.
Oh, there she
There
is.
it
I can
is.
hear her now. Yeah.
No, Jill, it's been.
We
it's
just
been
gotta
one
wrap
today.
this up. We're just gotta
I
wrap
know.
this up. And
I was just saying the same
Yes.
situation happens at home, and I was congratulating Michelle for actually. I was telling her how proud I am of her because she's doing the work even if
you.
it's tough, and she has to delegate and she has to, create mini me's as she says, and for the people at home, even if you don't have 5,000 careers, juggling everything at once. It's still hard. It's still something that you have to deal with. And you're probably wearing your best friend's emotions, your husband's emotions, because he's the one dealing with the bills and he's the one covering, when no one else can cover, and he's the one getting the groceries and, doing all the stuff. We still handle everybody's emotions at home as parents and as a mom. And that still counts, and you still need to think about yourself, and you still need to put yourself first, because if you're not okay, your children for sure will not be okay. And I'm telling you, coming from my heart to yours, my friends, that is the case. If you ask yourself this question, if you are not happy right now, most likely your kids know. Most likely your kids know. They feel you more, they know you more, they come from you. They know you more than you know. So take care of you first, mama. And with that, we will see you guys on the next episode. Happy Friday, and we'll see you guys next time.